This area in WoW doesn't exist. WoW has many areas that don't appear on the map. However, probably the most significant example of this is this unnamed zone that is above Elwynn Forest in Classic WoW, that later got removed by Blizzard in Cataclysm. They literally removed the land from the continent. But what was this place intended to be? In this video we'll go over the mystery of this non-existing zone and the content that Blizzard originally planned for this zone that later got scrapped. Now, it's fair to say that in the Classic edition of WoW before the Cataclysm revamp, there was quite a lot of zones that were put together by tricks and mirrors. Because in the vanilla world people couldn't fly, their vision was basically limited to where they could walk. Therefore Blizzard hid a lot of stuff beyond mountains that cannot be traversed, and were able to take some shortcuts in design and putting things in the background that you're not supposed to see close up. The zone above Elwynn Forest is one of these places where you cannot actually get there by any means. There are these giant mountains that are separating it from the rest of the world. However, it definitely is a zone in itself that we cannot access. It's clearly outlined on the Classic WoW map as a specific zone in itself. However, your character can actually go to where this zone would be. You know, doing some tricky wall jumping to get underneath Stormwind City, you get to see this giant empty area that extends out for really quite a far distance. In fact, the empty area that is underneath Stormwind City goes on for so long, the place your character moves would be in this theoretical non-existent zone. It's worth mentioning that if you go underneath other cities in Classic WoW, it doesn't look like this. Blizzard typically digs out a hole in the ground and fills it out with whatever city is there, like in Orgrimmar. This empty space pretty much encompasses the entirety of Orgrimmar and no more. But Stormwind is different, it kind of conjoins into this giant landmass of flat terrain. So it's fair to say that whatever this zone is, would have been directly above Stormwind. This theoretical zone connects between three other zones: Elwynn Forest, Dunmorrow, and Burning Steppes. And considering this theoretical zone is closer to Dunmorrow and Burning Steppes, it's quite likely that this would have been a mountainous area, as it even shares the same ground texture as Burning Steppes, so this probably would have been another dark mountainous area like Burning Steppes. So for years this anomaly was left in the game and led players to speculating until Cataclysm came out, where Blizzard literally removed the entirety of this land. They didn't just remove the zone as in like put some invisible walls around it or whatever, or fill it out with mountains. No, they literally took the land out of the continent, and now there's ocean, where there's this giant gaping hole where this area would have been. It's like God cut out a piece of land and took it out. What's wild is that this area above Stormwind actually has no name, despite it looking so freaking cool. Now, the actual idea behind this zone is quite fascinating. This zone was intended to be a place called Deathwing Scar. In early Cataclysm developments, Blizzard planned for this location to be the place where Deathwing comes out of his sleep. This is where Deathwing would have emerged and would have caused the most carnage, hence the name Deathwing Scar. This area actually got quite far into development. This place was referred to in multiple maps that Blizzard has created as specifically Deathwing Scar, and even going as far as to map out specific details as to how this zone would play out and where some of the key locations and points of interest would have been. Now the question is, why was this taken out of the game? Why didn't we see Deathwing Scar? Well, word on the street is Blizzard came to the conclusion that there would be way too many complaints. Because of the location being in between Ironforge and Stormwind, they were scared that Horde players were going to complain that this gave Alliance an unfair advantage, considering this would have been the main place to go raiding at a certain point in time. So Blizzard pretty much completely scrapped this zone, and they changed up the story that Deathwing emerged from the Maelstrom. That being said, there are some rumors that some of the assets that are used in Badlands were repurposed from the scrapped Deathwing Scar zone. So you can only imagine what this place would have looked like. And who knows, there's a tiny chance that this place will be brought back to its unreleased glory in Cataclysm Classic, but yeah, it's probably not going to happen. Maybe in Cataclysm Season of Discovery in 2040, we may see this. If you enjoyed this video, you'll also probably like my video I did on Deadwind Pass, so you can go check that out here.